Why haven't the Iranian people came out to protest yet after the joint military operations by Israel and United States against the Islamic Republic? This is the question that I keep getting by journalists and different news shows that I get invited to. So I thought I'd make a video about it and respond to it here. The way the question is framed is with the assumption or the expectation that the Iranian people would have come out by now, and the next wave of uprising would have came immediately after the American and Israeli attacks on the Islamic Republic. And the fact that did not happen is seen as a failure or at least unexpected. It's surprising to me that many people think that was the expectation, given that it was clearly communicated to the Iranian people by the leader of the revolution, Prince Reza Pahlavi, and also by the Israelis, that the time to come out has not arrived. And in fact, the message was that you need to stay home while the military operations are taking place, and that the Israelis and Americans will do everything they can to reduce the suppressing power of the Islamic Republic. After that level is complete, then the signal will be given to the Iranian people for them to come out. In fact, if people follow what's happening inside Iran, they'll notice two things. First of all, they notice that it has been a challenge to keep Iranian people in their homes. The Iranian people are very eager to come out again and get revenge for what happened in early January. Every time I get connection to my friends in Iran, they tell me about their experience and what's happening to them, but they also communicate to me that they can't wait for the call to action to be given by Prince Reza Pahlavi so that they could come out again and finish the job. Another thing that has been happening is that Prince Reza Pahlavi has been giving some minor call to actions that he has been very clear with the Iranian people that this is not the call to action for the uprising, but some minor call to actions as a way to practice and also test the Islamic Republic's ability to suppress. Prince Reza Pahlavi have been giving the Iranian people a couple of other call to actions, for example, for them to come out and celebrate Charshamba Suri, and another call to action was given for them to come out and visit the resting place of the fallen heroes of our revolution. These are meant for warm-ups and also for gathering information regarding where we are at when it comes to the Islamic Republic suppressing abilities. And the fact that Prince Reza Pahlavi needs to remind them that this is not the call to action for the uprising. For example, for the Charshamba Suri celebrations, he asked them not to engage and not to confront the Islamic regime's forces. And the fact that many times the Iranian people need to be reminded that they need to go back into their homes and the time has not arrived, all shows that the Iranian people are not out protesting is because they're following the command of the leader of the revolution. Remember, we have been here multiple times in the past couple of years in our fight against the Islamic regime. Every time there was an uprising, the reaction by the Islamic Republic made some people to come up with the analysis that the Iranian people are not going to do an uprising anymore based on what the Islamic Republic did to them. And we told them every single time not to bet against the Iranian people. And not only the Iranian people will come out again, they will come out stronger, more united, more organized, and in much higher numbers. Every time people suggested that the Iranian people are not going to do an uprising ever again, they ended up being wrong. And this time is not different. I understand a lot of people saw the cruelty of what the regime did to the Iranian people in early January in response to the Lion and Sun revolution and the millions of Iranians who came out into the streets, killing tens of thousands of them. Many people assumed that was so brutal and so cruel that then and there was the last time that the Iranian people would try something like that. But they could not be more wrong. In fact, it had the opposite effect. The Islamic Republic kills the Iranians to make them fear, but they get anger instead. The price that the Iranian people paid to fight against the Islamic regime is too high for them to give up, for them to go home, for them to accept continuing living with the Islamic regime any longer. What you have to understand is that when you take people's livelihood away from them, when they suffer under economic hardship, that causes a certain type of anger against the regime that turns people into revolutionaries. But there's a different type of anger. When you take people's loved ones away from them, you create an army of people that will stop at nothing to see you die. There are three types of people in Iran, and I know this is very simplified and reality is often more complicated, but there are three types of people in Iran. There are the minority pro-regime people. There are the anti-regime, non-revolutionary people. And then there are the anti-regime revolutionary people. The anti-regime, non-revolutionary people, which we call them Jamiyat Khakestari in Iran, are the people who might be against the regime and would be happy for the regime to go away. They might wish the best for the people who are trying to topple the regime, but they themselves are just busy living their lives and they're not doing anything about it. They're just hoping somehow the Islamic Republic is gone. If the Islamic Republic is gone, they will celebrate it. But they themselves are not involved in trying to bring down the regime. It is these groups of people, sometimes referred to as the silent majority, who will not be the majority anymore once we get to a level of cruelty that the regime displayed in early January. What the regime did is instead of turning revolutionaries to people who will back down and surrender and accept their fate, it turned non-revolutionary anti-regime Iranians to revolutionary anti-regime Iranians. Because that was just too much. I know the Islamic regime has always been cruel and monstrous for the past 47 years. But what they did in early January was on a different level. And once people witnessed what the Islamic regime is capable of, they were convinced that it has to go. By any means necessary, the Islamic regime has to go. On our show, I was listening to this mother and father calling into the Manotor show, talking about their lost son murdered by the regime in the protests on January 8th in the uprising against the regime. His name was Muhammad Reza Qasimzadeh, one of our fallen heroes. And his mother mentioned that they're waiting for the call to action to go into the streets. They explained because they have nothing else to lose. They said that this was their only son, and all they want is to be given a chance to take revenge for their son being taken away from them. The fact that she mentioned that they have nothing else to lose, what she meant by that is that they are willing to go into the streets and be killed for the sake of not just the revolution, but fighting against the people who took their son. This is at least two people who weren't involved in the protests. And now they will. For the first call to action by Prince Reza Pahlavi, their son was in the battlefield. And now for the second one, their son will not be there, but the two of them will. There is a chant, very common chant in Iran, that a lot of people use in many of these protests. And it goes like this. It goes, هر یه نفر کشته شه، هزار نفر پشته شه. Which means for each one person that dies, there are 1,000 people behind. And this is not just a chant. This is not just a slogan. The Iranian people have proven for that to be true. It will continue to be true until this regime falls, even if the Americans and Israelis stop their military operation against the Islamic Republic. The Iranian people will not stop. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will make the Iranian people accept living with the Islamic Republic. They will continue to fight, every time stronger than the last time. There's another saying that the Iranian people say when they are addressing the Islamic regime. They say, "Bein ma va shama yek darya khune," which means that between us and you, there's a sea of blood. A lot of non-Iranians don't understand what that means. It's a visualization of the gap between the Iranian people and the Islamic regime. This gap between us and them is filled with the blood of the Iranian people that they have spilled. The blood that they spilled is what divides us. And they have spilled so much blood that the gap between us and them is so wide. This chant originally started as a way to show that there is no reforming the regime because our gap is too big, it's too wide. There is no fixing this. There is no talking to the people who have killed our loved ones. Every time foreigners suggest that maybe the Islamic regime needs to be reformed, they need to remember this sea of blood between us and them. They have killed so many of us that there is no way that we could even imagine continuing to live side by side with these people. There's no negotiating with you. The only change that we would accept of you is for you to die, is for you to be gone. And I promise you, nothing short of the complete death of the Islamic regime will ever be acceptable by the Iranian people. And that is why they have chosen Prince Reza Pahlavi as their leader, because no other leader will guarantee that another version of the Islamic Republic is not coming into power. This is the main reason why the Iranian people want Prince Reza Pahlavi as their leader. One way or another, the Iranian people will have their final battle, and the Islamic regime will fall. The reason why we're asking for support is to make the price the Iranian people have to pay for that day to come much less than what they had to pay in early January. The Iranian people will rise again, as they have done so many times. The Iranian people are being wise. They're brave, but they're not stupid. There's a time for everything. The right time will arrive, and the Iranian people, better than anyone, will know when that time is. Revolutions take time, but whether our revolution is victorious tomorrow or a long time from now, I don't know. But the one thing I do know is that the Iranian people are not going to give up until they are victorious. We haven't come this far to only come this far. Iran will be free, and the Iranian people will have their celebration for their liberation. They're not going to let their loved ones die for nothing. If you believe in us and if you support our revolution, I want to thank you. You're part of the reason that helped arrive. And I want to ask you to not give up on us. Do not give up on the Iranian people. We now need your support more than ever before. I promise you that we are worth the support. You'll see. If you want to talk to me, there's a link in the description to our discussion group. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Your comments do influence the videos I make next. My name is Armin Navabi. I'm Israel Chai. Long live America. Javid Shah. Payandeira.